Por la tarde, por la mañana, café. Just really into this new song. Did you guys know who this artist is? It's Bad Bunny. He just came out with a new album, Debí Tirar Más Fotos. And it's really a tribute to his homeland of Puerto Rico. So if you get a chance, definitely check it out. Remember, listening to music is a really easy way to start to let your ear hear sounds that are foreign to it. So the more you start listening to Spanish music, the quicker you're going to get an ear for the language. And so there's so many great options out there. Hoy vamos a comenzar con un repaso. Today we're going to start with a review. So if you guys have had me for Spanish 101, you definitely remember my stick figures. But we're just kind of going to review an introduction conversation. And so I'm going to, start with the first one. And I want you to think what the response would be to Hola, ¿cómo estás? You're at home right now watching this online, and so there's no reason for you to be timid. Say your answer out loud. That's another way to get good at the language, is actually practicing the pronunciation. And because I can't hear you, it's a great opportunity for you to do that. So, hola, ¿cómo estás? Estoy bien. ¿Y tú? Okay, so the first question was, hi, how are you? I answered by saying, I am well, and you? Okay, so y tú is an easy way to ask somebody else, and you. If it was a more formal conversation, we'd want to use y usted. So just really quickly, estoy bien means I am well. Estoy mal, I'm not good. Estoy terrible, I'm terrible. Estoy cansada, I'm tired. Estoy triste, I'm sad. Estoy ocupada, I'm occupied. Okay, so those are a couple different answers. Estoy enfermo or enferma, I'm sick. So, hola, ¿cómo estás? Let's start over again. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Estoy bien. ¿Y tú? Estoy regular. ¿Cómo te llamas? How would you respond to ¿Cómo te llamas? So remember, this is asking, what is your name? Me llamo Jose. ¿Y tú? Me llamo Jose. ¿Y tú? My name is Jose. And you? So think of a different way that you can call yourself by name. I don't have to say me llamo Bridget. There are two other options that I could also say my name is. That's right. Soy Maria. Soy Bridget. Mi nombre es Maria. Mi nombre es Bridget. So that means I am Maria. Mucho gusto. ¿De dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres? What is that question? ¿De dónde eres? You're definitely going to use soy to respond to this, okay? Soy Maria. Mucho gusto. ¿De dónde eres? Soy de Madrid. Soy de Madrid. I'm from Madrid. Madrid es la capital de España. Muy bien. Soy de Madrid. ¿Y tú? Soy de Lima. ¿Cuál es la capital? Lima es la capital de Peru. Muy bien. Okay, so this is just a small conversation to reacquaint you with an introduction, how to say how are you, your name, and where you're from. So how are you? ¿Cómo estás? Your name. What is your name? ¿Cómo te llamas? Where are you from? ¿De dónde eres? And yeah, I think those were the three questions we covered. Okay, so hopefully that is pretty decent review. Those are los básicos de español, porfa. Pero vamos a hacer algo más complicado. We're going to do something a little bit more complicated. All right, so identifica la persona hispanohablante. So I want you to identify the Spanish speaker, okay? ¿Cómo se llama? What is their name? I just asked you in the screen before, ¿Cómo te llamas? What is your name? So now if I wanted to ask his or her name, ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llama esta persona? What is the name of this person? Si necesitas ayuda, okay, voy a mostrarles dónde vive. I'm going to show you where they live or where they're from. Oh, I guess I'm doing it the opposite. So, es Bad Bunny. Okay. ¿De dónde es Bad Bunny? ¿De dónde es Bad Bunny? So, in the screen before, I asked, ¿de dónde eres tú? Where are you from? And you said, soy de. Now I'm asking you where Bad Bunny is from. And so I'm saying, ¿de dónde es Bad Bunny? ¿De dónde es Bad Bunny? Bad Bunny es de. Okay, so maybe you know, maybe you heard me a couple minutes ago. I actually mentioned where he was from. Bad Bunny es de esta isla. He's from this island. No necesitas pasaporte para visitar. Es parte de los Estados Unidos. Okay, so Bad Bunny es de Puerto Rico. Él es puertorriqueño. Él es puertorriqueño. También se dice boricua. So that would be a Puerto Rican way to identify as well as boricua. Boricua. Okay, vamos a practicar. So la isla aquí es Puerto Rico. So I started out with one easy. I'm going to do some easy Hispanohablantes, some easy Spanish speakers. I'm going to go to something a little bit more difficult. Okay. No es super complicado porque es mi mujer favorita. If you've ever been in mi oficina, hay fotos de esta mujer en todas partes. There's pictures of this woman all over my office. Es mi heroína. She's my heroine, right? She's my hero. ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llama? Se llama Frida Kahlo. Well, ¿de dónde es Frida Kahlo? ¿De dónde es Frida Kahlo? Frida Kahlo es de, okay, if we're doing geografía, what is this gigante país abajo los Estados Unidos? This huge country south of the United States. México, exacto. Y ella es mexicana. Ella es mexicana. Frida Kahlo es mexicana. ¿Y la capital de México? La Ciudad de México. Muy bien. Ok, la próxima persona es un poco más complicada. ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llama? Es una persona muy famoso, ubiquitoso, muchas drogas, criminales. Vamos a ver, Pablo Escobar está muerto. He's dead now, pero es súper famoso, un hombre muy famoso. ¿De dónde es Pablo Escobar? De Colombia, exacto. Colombia y él es colombiano. Muy bien. So él es o él era colombiano. He was Colombian. La capital de Colombia? Bogotá. Exacto. Muy bien. All right. Una más y ya está. I promise to stop torturing you. Una más. Y también es un pintor famoso. Es un pintor famoso. Y también está muerto. He is also deceased. Él es de Europa. Pero hay un país hispanohablante en Europa. There's only one Spanish-speaking country in Europe. Okay, ¿quién es el pintor famoso? Pablo Picasso. Y Pablo Picasso es de España. So if he's from Spain, he would be español. Okay, so él es de España. Él es español. También la capital de España. Madrid. Perfecto. Okay, vamos. So, nosotros vamos a comenzar con el vocabulario de capítulo 4 y el título se llama La Familia, right? Vamos a hacer el vocabulario de familia. So we're going to do family vocabulary. Today, I'm just going to give you a little bit of information about Spanish families. and then we're going to go into the vocab. So you guys make sure you've grabbed your cheat sheet from the Brightspace. In every single lesson, normally there is a cheat sheet so that you can be filling in some of these answers to make your efforts in your quiz more successful. Also, just to make it a little bit easier to have something in front of you. And so this is un parte cultural, so we're just doing a little bit of a cultural note right now. So this is the Spanish family. In general, I had a really unique experience. I've had a couple of experiences with Spanish families, so I'm really lucky to have an actual experience. I did live with a Spanish family in Granada for 6 months. And so I really got to be intimate with the Spanish way of life and Spanish family, and it was an amazing experience. I really learned so much, and it is an incredible way of life. But most recently, my nephew has fallen in love with a Spanish girl, and she's actually from Granada. If you could imagine the coincidences. 25 years ago, I studied in Granada, and now my nephew is dating a girl from Granada, and also just talks kind of about globalization. But they invited me to come stay with the family last year for a week. And so imagine returning 25 years later to a place where really that gave me my start. And I also get to stay with a Spanish family again. And my Spanish is way better than it was 25 years ago. And so I brought my daughter with me, and it just was a reminder of the Spanish way of life. They are so family orientated. So they have a very family-oriented, cultural, positive attitude towards children. Sorry that that's a little messed up. And honestly, I used to travel a lot before I had children. And one of the reasons I was hesitant to have children because I love to travel. And I knew once I did that travel would become much more complicated, because sometimes travel can be, challenging enough as it is. If you add little children to that, that was really intimidating to me. But one of the first places I traveled to with children, my daughter was 3 and my son was 4 at the time, was to Spain. And it was such an incredible experience because they value family so much and they value children. That's not necessarily where we come from, the American society. And so as soon as we ended up in the airport, if you have children, they treat you like you are VIP. You are ushered to a different taxi line. You are able to get on the plane first, and you don't even have to have a little baby. I had a 4 and 3-year-old. And every person would come up and asked if you needed assistance. It was such a different experience than what I get in the United States. I then returned to stay with this family with my daughter again. So it was her second time there. And everybody in the town would always address her, call her princess, make sure she felt comfortable. And it's a really unique way of life. And they also generally live multi-generational. So you would have the grandparents, the parents, the children in the same home. And so with that being said, the Spanish are some of the healthiest in the world. They're about to pass the Japanese in longevity. I think their average lifespan is 86 years old. And one of the reasons is because of their family ties. They have close family ties. When you have healthy, close family ties, it makes you a healthier person. And so even taking kids to restaurants in Spain at 11 at night is accepted. It's kid-friendly, just a kid-friendly, no matter what, the bars, the restaurants. And so it just is really, I wouldn't say the clubs per se. So it is really interesting to be able to study these different familial dynamics in other cultures. And so that's something we'll be talking about, the different family structures in our societies as well. But Spain has an incredible structure to follow, and I can personally attest to it. So let's get those vocabulario out so we can start to identify these people in Spanish. So remember, with vocab, obviously that's a huge part of you learning the language. You need to see a word and hear a word 7 times before you memorize it. So some of these, if you've had some Spanish, you might be really familiar with this. El abuelo is grandfather. La abuela is grandmother. Los abuelos are grandparents. El padre is father. La madre is mother. Los padres are parents. El hijo is son, la hija is daughter, los hijos is children. Our children, excuse me, los hijos. So remember also in Spanish, the H is silent if it is the beginning of the word. El hijo, la hija, los hijos. El hijastro is stepson. La hijastra is stepdaughter. El hijo único is only child. El hermano is brother. La hermana is sister. Los hermanos are siblings. El hermanastro, stepbrother. La hermanastra, stepsister. So notice with I'm missing my hermanastro. Astro, okay? Stra at the end is usually indicating step. Los gemelos, twins. Los gemelos. El hijastro is stepson. La hijastra is stepdaughter. Oh, we just did these. Okay, well, that's really good review. See how many you can get. El hermano, la hermana, los hermanos, el hermanastro, la hermanastra, los gemelos. El tío is uncle. La tía is aunt. Los tíos are aunt and uncle. El sobrino is nephew. La sobrina is niece. El primo is cousin, male. La prima. El nieto is grandson. La nieta is granddaughter. And los nietos, grandchildren. El esposo is husband. La esposa is wife. La madrastra is stepmother. El padrastro is stepfather. La madrina is godmother. El padrino is godfather. El suegro, father-in-law. La suegra, mother-in-law. El cuñado, I always forget cuñado. I think it's brother-in-law. But when I go to say it, I can never remember cuñado. So a lot of times, for example, la suegra, el suegro, it's taken me years to remember those two words. So if I can't remember, what I'm going to say is el padre de mi esposo. La madre de mi esposo. That's one of the things I love about Spanish. I was never good at math, and there's a reason for that. That's because there's only one correct answer. I love in Spanish that there are so many different ways for you to get around something. So if you don't know the word, there's another way I can get to it. So if I don't know father-in-law, I also can say my husband's father. So there are options for us to find the way to say what we need to, and that's what I love about languages, is that there's options to get to where we need to go. La cuñada would be sister-in-law. La nuera is daughter-in-law. I always forget la nuera too. So listen, I've been studying Spanish for 25 years, and it's a proceso. It's a process. I'm constantly learning new words. Every year, my language skills evolve just like they do in English, and so you really do have to have a lot of patience with yourself, and you're not going to remember everything all the time, and that's okay. So make sure you give yourself some grace. It is challenging, and that's why I love languages, is that it's always keeping me on my toes. La mascota is pet. El gato is cat. El perro is dog. Hay muchos más mascotas, and I love the word for pet, mascota, because it looks like mascot. Like, what is the mascot of your house? ¿Te gustan los gatos or los perros? Are you a cat person, a dog person? También hay pez, tortuga. I mean, so many things. I have fish and turtles in my house as well, so. Más de perros y gatos. Okay, los números. So we're going to do a whole lesson on numbers in a couple of lessons. But this is, you'll have the base, and it's really good to know that. So maybe you're familiar with your numbers. This is definitely just going to be memorization. 100, 101, 200, 300, 400, 500. Cien, 101, 200, 300, 400, 500. 600, 700, 800, 900, 1000. So this one's a little bit tricky, but I'll get into it in our lesson. Just be sure you try not to say 1000. 2000, 1,000,000, 2,000,000. Vamos a hacer adjetivos. Cariñoso is affectionate. Delgado is skinny. I also like flaco. So remember too, gordo is fat. There's going to be a lot of ways to say things, and depending if you go to Mexico, you go to Spain, you go to Peru, things get colloquial. So how you speak regionally, they might have different words for these as well. And so there's a lot of slang, and that's what sometimes can make learning languages challenging, is that there's just so many options. Which one do you memorize? It can be a lot in the brain. So again, give yourself patience. Hermoso is beautiful. Jubilado is retired. Listo is smart. Orgulloso is proud. Torpe is clumsy. And tranquilo is calm. Travieso, mischievous. Unido, close. Viejo, old. Extrovertido, outgoing. Obediente, obedient. Responsable, responsible. Alto, tall. Bajo, short. Guapo, good looking. Joven, young. Moreno, dark hair, dark skin. Nervioso, nervous. Pelirrojo, redhead. Perezoso, lazy. Rubio, blonde. Trabajador, hardworking. So again, so much vocabulary that I've thrown at you, and thankfully I think a lot of people are familiar with family vocab. But here, I think I've just given you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 5, like 40 words, right? So you might know 20. 20 is a lot of words to memorize. And so definitely putting effort in is going to make a difference. I obviously give you cheat sheets so that it does make it easier for you. But if you truly want to learn the language, if you really want to have conversations with people, putting in the work and memorizing your vocab is essential. So these are just different events that you might do with your family. El bautizo is baptism. La boda is wedding. El cumpleaños is birthday. El divorcio, it looks like a cognate. Do you guys remember what a cognate is? It's a word that sounds the same. It has similar spelling and it has the same definition. And so, for example, by looking at divorcio, we can tell that it means divorce. And so cognates are usually helpful. There are false cognates out there, but for the majority, it is just your regular cognates. Again, another cognate, el matrimonio, wedding. Casado, married. Divorciado, divorce. So these are civil states. Separado, separated. Soltero, single. Viudo, widowed. So we're going to do a lesson on por and para. So we have para, which means for or toward. Para plus infinitive, in order to. Por, in, by means of, through, along. Por ejemplo, for example. Por eso, that's why. Por favor. Porfa. That would be the short way to say please. Porfa. Por fin. Finally. Por lo general, generally. Y por lo menos, at least. Okay, so you guys will have a quiz that goes along with this. Remember, you can access my video. You can access my Google lesson so that you could practice these. Or almost kind of like note cards. That's a great way to learn, is using your note cards as well. So I look forward to seeing you our next lesson. Nos vemos. We'll see each other. Que tenga buen día. Have a great day. Ciao.